Hi everyone. I have been meaning to do an experiment ever since I got my first Wingfoil from Ozone. It involves recycling my old raceboards. For those of you who don't know what those are those massive tri-fin raceboards we used to race on before foils came around. I actually have two remaining. I have an old Agera 69S and I have a pretty much brand new Temavento. It arrived and I never used it for racing. So today I actually dug out the Temavento board because it has a slightly bit more volume than the Agera, and I put in the Moses Tortuga, however on the Windfoil setup. So it's got last year's Windfoil mast, the 91 with the Tuttle head, and it has this year's fuselage for the Windfoil. It's longer than the surf fuselage or the kite fuselage to be able to put the wings far enough forward when you have it in the Tuttle box position quite far back on the board. I used the Tortuga wing, the 873 wing, and yeah, have a look how that turned out. You'll be surprised. And it worked! As you can see, it went pretty well. You can see from the first clip, I was actually surprised how well it went myself. I got up, planing almost instantly. That board being super light makes it very easy to get up. And luckily enough, it was perfectly balanced with my feet standing more or less where they were supposed to on that board originally. You're not going to be standing on the rails, but my foot was on the pad. So the back foot was on the back pad, my front foot was basically standing on the front pad. And it was great. It felt really good, felt really stable, felt balanced, felt nice and quick. The Tortuga is a nice and fast wing. It's not the biggest wing out there, so for super light wind, it's not the greatest, but for these medium winds over 16 knots, it's a really nice wing to go. It's really smooth, and with the longer fuselage, it feels really, really stable. Now there's one or two things I would like to mention about using your old race boards. First off, it's not for everybody. You need to be of a certain weight or skill level for this to work. I weigh 85 kilos and I have a fairly decent skill stand-up paddling, also on smaller boards, and I've been foiling a long time. If you weigh 90 kilos or more and you're not that good at balancing on a stand-up paddle board, I wouldn't recommend it. These boards tend to all be under 100 liters. Some of the older race boards are in the 70 liter range. It's basically the boards towards the end, like the Mike's Labs, the Temaventos, Gastras, and the Norsa in the end. Those will have sufficient volume for somebody between 75 kilos, 80 kilos, but any more, it will be very difficult. Another thing, use a leash. I didn't use a leash in this video and it almost got me into trouble quite badly. When you're swimming after your board, the wing tends to sort of flop around and come after you with the wind. And twice I almost had the wing land on top of the foil wings. And I got super lucky that I didn't get any cuts in my WASP, my wing. So use a leash so that doesn't happen. And also in stronger winds, you actually can't catch up with your board and you're going to need to be rescued or swim back in an incident like that. So use a leash when winging. Another thing is I do not know how long the boxes will last in these race boards when you're actually putting foils in them. They were never meant for such large forces. They're built fairly thin to keep the weight down. So I don't really know if somebody like Enrico Cascani or Jimmy or Mike Sychek or somebody or Alex would like to chime in to tell us how strong these boxes are and what they will take. That would be pretty cool. And yeah, I had fun, and it's a really good use to get your board out. Now just remember, like I said at the beginning, this is not me using the standard subfoil setup for Moses. This is using a Windfoil setup with the longer fuselage to put the front wing farther forward so that the position and the balance works out. It doesn't work quite as well if you just use the short fuselage, as the pressure point from the foil will be quite far back. It actually still works, but nowhere near as good as this works. Okay, thanks for watching. Remember, if you like our content, remember to subscribe to the channel and mash that bell so you get notified every time we have new content. Rock on, and I'll see you on the water.